Is it on?
It is.
Thank you. So thank you everybody for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I think everyone knows me, but for the official purposes, my name is Lisa Macafee. This is a thesis presentation for CED 637 for National University. This is my action research project. So thank you everyone for coming. I know it's a horrible time of year to ask you guys to come to this, so thank you very much. So my action research project was on I did a meditation intervention at the high school that I teach at. So my high school is a low-income Title I school. It's 81% Hispanic, 14% Asian, 3% white, and 1% Filipino. Our school size is quite large, it's about 2,000. So the problem I was looking at was attendance. So basically what we're finding is that we've had an increase in truancies and tardies, and the school administration isn't quite sure what to do about it. So that's the problem. My hypothesis was that if we offer meditation to these students instead of detention, we might be able to get more student buy-in to the school culture and make them happier to come to school. So that's my hypothesis. So there's a lot of literature on the topic. There's a long-standing correlation between truancy and low-income minority students. There's a lack of buy-in for low-income students, often due to feelings of racism and disenfranchisement. Low-income immigrant students are often responsible for taking care of disabled adults or younger siblings at home. So oftentimes I hear students are not coming to school because they had to take their brother to school, or they're not coming to school because they had to take care of their father who's disabled. So it's a lot of real-life problems. You know, it's not just that they're bad kids and they're ditching school. It's very real problems, not just a bunch of malarkey. So the other problem within schools is that students of color are suspended 2 to 3 times more than their white peers for the same offenses. So it's not just a feeling of racism, it's a definite real racism in the school system. And low socioeconomic students are also overrepresented in suspensions and discipline. So if you're a troublemaker and you're branded as a troublemaker, then you're gonna feel it and you're gonna check out of school and you're not gonna care if you ditch, because what does it matter, right? So that's why my focus is on trying to bring these kids back into the school culture instead of punish them. So the specific intervention I ran was a 10-minute meditation intervention at my high school during the second half of lunch. So I used headspace.com. It's free for the first month, and it's a guided meditation program. They're 10 minutes. So instead of going to detention, students were given the option to come to my classroom, and for the second half of lunch they could meditate for 10 minutes and get credit for a 30-minute detention. So I thought it was a good deal for them, 10 minutes of meditation for 30-minute detention credit, like it can maybe help them out. If anybody's interested, I'll leave that there. So yeah, we had 29 students show up during the time I was running the intervention. So not a huge number. So my data isn't super amazing because it's a small group. But when they came in, my data collection, I had them sign in, and they would put their mood when they were coming into the meditation, and then they signed out and put their mood as they were leaving. So, show the camera. Sign-in sheets. So the data was interesting. It was kind of mixed. I have paper that will pass around that shows the student moods. So basically what this shows is that this is like the baseline. Hey camera, that's the baseline. This is the baseline. So almost all the students had an improved mood. Only one had a mood that was declining, I guess is how you say it. So that's good. A couple students had very improved moods. So there's that. So 15 moods improved, 1 lowered, 13 had no change. So that was kind of my disappointing, like 13, that's almost like, that's a lot. So they came in feeling tired or bored, and they left feeling tired and bored. Or they came in happy and they left happy, so I was hoping for a more dramatic, like, wow, meditation's so cool. It really made me feel better about my life, but I suppose that was a lot to ask for. So it was a 55% chance of increasing their mood, which is not bad, but I was hoping for higher. So I have the data if you want to see who all came to meditation. As far as gender, since this was a alternative from detention, it was about 2/3 male and 1/3 female, which makes sense given how the discipline works. And 83% Latino, 7% Black, 10% Asian, which makes sense for our school's demographics. There's that. The implications of my study, it was statistically significant based on data analysis. I did a sign test and calculated the mean median mode. So it's 2.86% likely that this many students would have an increased mood. So it's not like, it's just like 50-50. There was statistical proof that meditation increased student mood. However, it didn't increase that much and it wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the significance of the findings just because students weren't that excited. So I think, honestly, for the school site that I'm at, I probably need something more direct, more socio-emotional, behavioral, something like direct interface with students to make them feel more buy-in with the school culture. I think meditation was too, I don't know how to say it, too removed, or too independent, or too, distant. So I think our students would benefit more from some kind of direct, sit down with them, talk with them, So that's that. Well, it did show a slight benefit, probably not as much of a benefit as I'd hoped. So, if we want to get these kids, I think we need to do something more to decrease our sense of isolation. So that's my feeling. What do you guys think? Thoughts? Questions?
I think, you said that 13 out of them were the ones that didn't feel any particular improvement.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad take rate. You figure anything out there, you'd say a 55% success rate. That's pretty good when you're dealing with a random swath of people and you don't know their interests or their psychological bent or anything like that. That's pretty good for just a raw chunk of students.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Thank you.
And it wasn't a cross-section. It was kids who are more likely to have possibly had problems and gotten in. So you don't know if they were even really meditating. They may have just,
Yeah. These are the troubled kids in the first place, so these are kids who get in trouble.
They might have used it as a mini nap.
Yeah.
Did you have opinions on if you should do this again or they should have more of these opportunities?
I asked, some of the students as they were leaving, and most of them said, it was interesting. It was kind of cool. So they didn't get I had a couple of them who thought it was amazing, but those were mostly kids who meditated already. So it was
If they're new to it, they wouldn't in 10 minutes even probably reach a full benefit if they're not.
Right. So I had quite a few repeat students actually. So even though they didn't say much, I think they must have liked it, or they wouldn't come back every week.
How often were you offering these? It was every day for how long?
It was once a week for October, November, December. So.
Also, if you're comparing mood at the beginning and the end, if you were to compare that against their moods after being in detention and not being in detention, it's not very likely that their mood in detention would improve versus the success you saw in their mood improving because of meditation. It's not like any kid leaves detention and says, I feel great.
So when compared to detention, it's definitely an improvement. That's true.
And you just had them write down whatever mood they were in, whatever word they wanted to use. There wasn't like selection of words or anything like that, or like a chart for them to say, oh, my mood is like 0 to 10 or something like that, because you might be able to see the perceived difference in their mood if you have it on a scale of some sort.
That's true. So if we do it in the future, maybe that would be a good thing to implement. It's more of a scale. Yeah.
I think more,
Get that jar.
so, given the fact that they are high school students, and they are at a point in time where everything embarrasses them, and everything matters, like, you know, I think if you were to do something more along the lines of privacy when you do these types of questions, or, you know, like, you know, because then you could really see what they're trying to say, you know, because, like, you might look at this kid, you know, comes in, troublemaker, but you don't know what he's dealing with.
Right.
You don't know what he's going on, and like maybe he didn't feel anything, but maybe these 10 minutes apiece kind of like helped him out from like these 8 hours of like terror that he lives and goes back to.
Yeah.
You know.
That's something real.
So you know, it just, I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe this could all be, you know, but maybe, you know, what if this is what, like, all these people, like, they're just awkward, because I was awkward as hell. I'm still awkward. I have a hard time, you know, just, you know. So I mean, I see this because I take my little sister to school. Every day I talk to her. I have to, you know. Sadly, my stepdad isn't in their lives anymore, so I kind of have to step in and find out. You know, and this kind of gives me an insight as to what, you know, what they go through. Because I'm just like, okay, I wasn't there too long ago, like, you know, and then they're like, oh, hey, this, and this, and then they're like, oh, I'm so awkward, this and that, my image and everything, and they try to say like it doesn't, but, you know, especially those types of kids, you know, like the troublemakers, you know, especially if they've made a reputation for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of it, you know, they might feel like they're stuck in that, you know, like they have to represent that, they have to be that type of person, you know what I mean? I just think that maybe, you know, what if we just were just like, you know, write it down, or, you know, or something like that, you know, where it'd be like, you know, nobody else has to know, just, you know. I don't know, it's just.
And they might also, I was curious if you're just working it in for detention specifically, obviously that's where we're trying to find the statistical difference, but if it was offered like every day there was an option for anybody who wanted to, they might become a little bit more comfortable with the practice of it, because especially, even I know myself, meditation is hard at our age too.
Yeah.
So it's hard to settle your mind and actually focus and do that. If the more practice they have, it might change their mind a little bit more, their mood a little bit more, as they become more used to it and they fall into it more easily.
So you think it might be more of a valid intervention if we did it more regularly and they got used to it? Maybe,
because I'm sure a lot of it also is it's new, it's only offered once in a while, I'm not really comfortable, and nobody I know is going, so, and it seems to be only for these people, and like it's a lot of the misconceptions about meditation in and of itself too. So if you, like you were saying, it also depends. If you're looking around like, oh, nobody else is going, you may not go because you're too nervous to do it.
That is a punishment alternative.
Yeah. So that might be an option too. If it's offered, let's say like every morning before class or something like that, then everybody who comes to work, you have 10 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
And then they can start their day. Maybe that would change their attitude a little bit more.
And then what if you open this up, like, just say faculty as well?
Yeah.
You know, what if they want to do, you know?
That would be great.
And, you know, so they could, so that way you could, like, the teachers could come in.
Yeah.
And that way the students don't feel so alienated themselves, because they're like, oh, okay. You know, because meditating, I'm going to be honest about you guys, like, you know, it kind of sounds really hipster. Like, and like, you know, some people, like, Latinos, we're just like, whoa. It's like, you know, but if you see, you know, but if you see somebody do it, and if you see somebody, like, your buddy's like, hey, like, I went over here, and like, oh, I saw this teacher, and he does that too, and
Yeah.
you know, so little by little, I think
it's talking
just,
about it,
yeah.
so that's one of the things that helps a lot.
Normalize it by getting role models. And
Yeah.
get more involved. Yeah.
Were they informed of like the benefits of meditation, like lead to?
I did a really brief like introduction in the very beginning each day. Just said, you know, if you're uncomfortable with meditation, just think of it as 10 minutes to relax and let the stress from your day just kind of go someplace else and just take time to be quiet in your mind, and we all need that. But I didn't go into the research and
No, of course.
There's also different types of meditation that's more active. There's the coloring books that people always love, or even just like writing or journaling. That's a type of meditation that maybe most of them don't know.
a lot of our high school students, I think, might be put off by like coloring, especially. Like as a junior, senior year, like you want me to what? But no. I don't know, but
Or a form of like art therapy, like.
oh yeah,
singing.
there's definitely other valid forms. I think that'd be harder to sell my principal too.
But maybe it's also possible after any of those activities,
Yeah.
if the kids talk about how good it is, the people who did come, if they're able to talk about how they felt about it,
Yeah.
maybe it would make them realize that somebody else also feels that they need that. Because it's the belonging thing. So if I'm saying like I felt really a lot better about it, someone else might feel more comfortable being like, oh, okay, it actually did help me too.
You should
So
call it a
maybe-
club.
Meditation club. I think that people wouldn't join easily.
But kind of for detention, they'd probably still join.
I would be curious, and I know this isn't exactly part of the parameters of your study, but if it were to be a longer term, like a full year,
Yeah.
I would be curious to see what the results would be with the same kids. And I'd be curious because,
Yeah.
like has been acknowledged, meditation is a skill and you get better at it.
Yeah.
And I'd also be curious about, I don't know if this is the right word, but recidivism, the thing that got them in there in the first place, to see if that
Yeah.
actually,
That was my main
of course,
thing I wanted to research, but I wasn't sure how to tie all the data together. So
or it'd be kind of, it seems like it'd require a longer term to make that happen.
yeah, it would be great to know if they were getting some kind of attendance benefit out of it. Yeah. Yeah. I want that data.
And also timing of the day, you chose specifically the second half of lunch. Was
Yeah.
there a reason that you chose that time?
That's when detention is offered.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like after school or if there was a specific reason you chose that time. So.
Yeah, we probably should have done it after school, or maybe before school.
That's
There's
a good
a lot
idea,
of hungry kids in there.
No, I was gonna say that the problem is if you offer it after school, fewer people are gonna be willing to come.
Right.
Or
so-
they have to rush home for the reasons they are late already. They're taking
Right.
care of family members or whatever it is.
Right.
So that seems like a good time. I was just curious if you chose that time for a reason. So.
Yeah, most of that they're already there and they're captive,
Mm-hmm.
so they might as well do their detention.
Makes sense.
So, any last questions, comments? Well, thank you so much for everybody coming. Like I said, I know this is a horrible time of year to ask you to do this. I have little feedback surveys. If you could take one and pass them down, then we'll get pens. If you could take a pen, pass it down. I'm just gonna throw that one. I'll get more pens. It's just 2 questions, but I would appreciate it if I could get your feedback. Where are pens? When does it ever happen? You have more people show up. What? Oh yeah. I didn't pass on pens.
The headspace meditation thing, was it just, it was like a guided meditation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually a cool program. The first month is free if you're interested in doing it. They progress, or you can just keep doing the first one for free forever, which is what we've been typically doing. So, yeah.
One of the guys I work with actually uses that.
Oh, yeah, it was suggested
Tells
to me
me
by
about
my
that.
counseling supervisor for my master's. So.